When you hear the name Lindsay Lohan, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably tabloid headlines, maybe some mugshots. But her story, it's so much more than just celebrity gossip. It's actually a perfect window into the really weird and complicated world of celebrity justice, where fame can be this incredible shield, but also a massive target. So let's break it all down. To really get how things went so sideways, you kind of have to remember how it all started. On one side, you've got this teen icon that everybody loved. I mean, the star of huge hits like The Parent Trap and Mean Girls. And then you have the other side, a courtroom regular whose super promising career just got completely swallowed up by this long and very, very public string of legal problems. So how did this all happen? How did we get from A to B? Let's walk through the timeline to see how a single DUI charge back in 2007 just spiraled into nearly a decade of court battles. It really did become this relentless cycle. It all kicked off with a DUI in 2007. Just a few years later, by 2010, she was sentenced to actual jail time for violating her probation. Then a year after that, she was charged with stealing a necklace. And in 2013, she took a plea deal for lying to the police. It wasn't until 2015, that's almost 8 years later, that she was finally free from probation. And this whole drama was just everywhere. You couldn't escape it, which brings up a really fascinating question. Why are we so obsessed with watching famous people fall? What is it about these stories that we just can't seem to look away from? Well, some research points to the idea that these trials are basically the ultimate reality TV. As one paper puts it, they're real-life soap operas. And it makes sense, right? You've got heroes, you've got villains, and you have incredibly high-stakes drama. All the things that make a great story, but this is all happening in the real world. And there's this very specific psychological thing going on here. It's a concept called schadenfreude. It's a German word, and it basically describes that little bit of pleasure we sometimes get from seeing someone else mess up. And that feeling, it gets even stronger when the person falling is someone who seems to have it all. The money, the fame, the glamour. Of course, you absolutely cannot talk about this without talking about the media's role. Media is a business, right? And in our world, they give the public what it wants. And what the public wanted apparently was 24/7 coverage of celebrity scandals. This created this huge feedback loop that just kept these stories on the front page day after day. So, all this intense media attention brings us right to the heart of the matter. What really goes on when a celebrity gets tangled up in the justice system? So, what do you think? Is being famous a get-out-of-jail-free card? Or does all that publicity actually put a target on your back? Now, most of us probably assume that celebrities get special treatment. But when you start to dig into the data, a much more complicated picture starts to show up. Okay, check this out. This is from a fascinating study by Bruschke and Loges. They looked at conviction rates based on how much publicity a case got. Now, look at that top line. With no publicity, the conviction rate was about 79%. You'd probably expect that rate to go down as someone gets more famous, right? But look at the bottom line. With high publicity, the conviction rate actually goes up to almost 82%. This is a huge clue that more media attention doesn't help. It might actually hurt your case. So why would that be? Well, a huge factor here is something called pre-trial publicity, or PTP for short. This is all the news coverage, all the headlines, all the gossip that happens before a trial even kicks off. And study after study has shown that this constant stream of info, which is almost always negative and sensationalized, can create a serious bias in potential jurors. It makes finding a fair trial incredibly difficult. And this really gets to the core of the whole thing. The public perception is that celebrities get a pass, but the reality? Judges are under an unbelievable amount of pressure. When the whole world is watching, they might actually hand down harsher sentences just to prove that the system isn't soft on the rich and famous, and to keep people's faith in the courts. So, when you boil it all down, it comes to this. Fame is a true double-edged sword in the legal system. It gives you these incredible advantages, but it also creates some really unique and powerful disadvantages. So on the one hand, yeah, of course, the money that comes with fame is a massive plus. Lindsay Lohan could afford a total powerhouse lawyer like Sean Hawley. But on the flip side, that exact same fame brings this firestorm of negative press, it attracts ambitious prosecutors who want to make a name for themselves, and it puts that crazy pressure on judges that we just talked about. So if fame isn't a get-out-of-jail-free card, what does celebrity justice really mean? Well, the story of Lindsay Lohan, and so many others like her, shows that it's not really about getting special treatment. It's about facing a completely different kind of justice, one that's louder, more scrutinized, and totally distorted by the very fame that put them there in the first place. It's a system where the scales aren't just weighing the evidence, they're also trying to balance the immense weight of public opinion.